My husband invited me to an important business dinner with a potential Japanese partner. I smiled, nodded, and played the part of the supportive wife without complaint. What he didn't know, what he never even thought to ask, was that I understood every single word of Japanese. And when I heard what he said about me that night, everything I believed about my marriage changed. But let me start at the beginning. My name is Sarah, and for 12 years I believed I had a good marriage. Not a passionate, movie-style love story, but steady, comfortable. David worked as a senior manager at a tech company in the Bay Area, and I was a marketing coordinator at a small local firm. We lived in a nice townhouse in Mountain View, took one vacation a year, paid our bills on time. From the outside, we looked like a perfectly functional couple. Somewhere along the way, though, things shifted. I can't pinpoint when it happened. Maybe it was after David's promotion 3 years ago. Maybe the change was gradual, so slow I didn't notice until everything already felt different. David became busier. More important. That's what he always told me. Late nights, business trips, endless calls. And when he was home, he was either glued to his phone or too exhausted to talk. Our conversations turned into logistical checklists. Pick up my dry cleaning. Don't forget the dinner on Saturday. Call the lawn service. I'm too busy. I convinced myself it was normal, that this is just what long-term marriages became. The spark fades, life gets repetitive, and you settle into routine. But the quiet ache in my chest grew heavier each day. I'd sit alone in the living room while he shut himself in his home office for hours, feeling lonelier than I cared to admit. About 18 months ago, something unexpected happened. I was scrolling my phone one sleepless night when I saw an ad for a free Japanese language app. I'd taken a semester of Japanese in college, back when I was young and curious and full of dreams that didn't revolve around David. I'd loved the language, the elegance, the structure, the challenge. But adult life swept those interests aside. That night, with David snoring beside me, I downloaded the app just to see if I remembered anything. Turns out, I remembered a lot. Hiragana came first, then katakana. Within weeks, I was hooked. While David worked late or watched financial news, I sat at the kitchen table with my earbuds in, working through lessons. I listened to podcasts, started watching Japanese dramas, eventually even without subtitles. I joined online study groups, took lessons with tutors from Tokyo, and slowly reclaimed a part of myself I'd buried. I didn't tell David. Not because it was a secret, but because I already knew how he'd react. Years earlier, when I'd mentioned wanting to take a photography class, he'd laughed, not cruelly, but dismissively. Sarah, everyone takes pictures with their phones. You don't need a class. And when would you even have time? I stopped sharing things after that. So Japanese became mine, my private world, my personal accomplishment. And I was good at it. A year later, I was conversationally fluent. Not perfect, but capable. Confident. Proud. Then one evening in late September, David came home unusually early and uncharacteristically excited. Sarah, I've got great news, he said, tugging off his tie while I chopped vegetables for dinner. We're close to securing a partnership with a Japanese tech company. The CEO is visiting next week, and I'm taking him to dinner. You need to come. I looked up. A business dinner? Yeah. Tanaka-san specifically asked if I'm married. It's a cultural thing, family signals stability. He grabbed a beer from the fridge. You just need to dress nicely, smile, be pleasant. You know, the usual. The usual. I swallowed that irritation. Sure. When is it? Next Thursday, 7 p.m. Wear the navy dress with the sleeves. Conservative but classy. He paused and added, Tanaka doesn't speak much English. I'll handle the conversation in Japanese. You'll probably be bored, but just smile through it, okay? My heart skipped. You speak Japanese? He shrugged casually. Picked it up over the years working with the Tokyo office. I'm pretty fluent now. It's one reason I'm in the running for the VP role. Not many execs here can negotiate in Japanese. He didn't ask if I spoke it. Why would he? In his mind, I was simply the accessory wife, there to complete the picture. I told him it sounded great, and after he left the room, I stood there trembling slightly. This was an opportunity, a rare window into a version of David he never showed me. A chance to hear who he really was when he believed I couldn't understand a word. The next week crawled. I spent every spare minute reviewing business vocabulary and polite forms, preparing myself to follow whatever conversation happened. Maybe I'd hear nothing noteworthy, I told myself. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe my insecurity was painting everything worse than it was. Thursday arrived. I put on the navy dress he requested, modest heels, simple earrings. In the mirror, I saw exactly what David wanted me to be, polished, quiet, presentable. The restaurant, an upscale Japanese place in San Francisco, was booked out months in advance. David had used the company card for the reservation. Right before we walked in, he smoothed his tie and said, Remember, just be pleasant. Don't try to follow the conversation. If Tanaka addresses you, keep it short. We want his focus on business. I nodded, forcing down the resentment. Tanaka was already seated, a distinguished man in his mid-50s with silver glasses and a perfectly tailored suit. David bowed, I followed, and they exchanged formal greetings in Japanese. I made sure my face showed polite confusion. The conversation began in English, the usual small talk. But once menus arrived, they smoothly shifted into Japanese. David's fluency surprised me. He sounded confident, practiced, polished. I listened quietly as they discussed projections, market shares, expansion strategies. I understood enough to follow the general flow. Then Tanaka glanced at me and asked what I did for work, politely. Respectfully, David cut in before I could even pretend not to understand. Oh, Sarah works in marketing, but it's just a small firm. Nothing serious. More of a hobby to keep her busy. She mostly handles things at home. A hobby. Years of my career, reduced to a pastime. I kept my face calm. But inside something cracked. The meal continued, beautiful dishes. Smooth conversation, and I listened as David transformed into a more arrogant version of himself. He inflated his accomplishments, took credit for team projects, exaggerated his influence. It wasn't shocking, but it was revealing. Then the topic shifted to work-life balance and family support. Tanaka mentioned the importance of a strong home life. David laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound that made my stomach twist. Honestly, he said in Japanese, my wife doesn't really understand the business world. She's happy with her simple routines. I handle the serious decisions, finances, career moves. She's mostly there for appearances. Takes care of the house, looks nice at events, doesn't demand too much. It's convenient. Convenient. I gripped my glass until my fingers ached. Tanaka's expression shifted, a flicker of discomfort, but he didn't comment, and David kept going. The VP position is practically mine, he boasted. I've been rearranging assets, opening offshore accounts, smart financial planning. If I need to relocate or make a quick career move, I can do it without being slowed down by joint accounts or needing her approval. My veins went cold. He was moving money, secretly preparing for a future that didn't include me, or at least one where I had no access. But the worst was still coming. When Tanaka asked about stress and coping, David leaned back and let out a smug sigh. I have my outlets. There's someone at work, Jennifer, in finance. We've been seeing each other for about 6 months. My wife has no clue. Jennifer gets my world. We plan strategies together. It's refreshing to be with someone who can talk about more than what's for dinner. I didn't move. Didn't blink. My face stayed composed, my posture perfect. Years of swallowing my feelings kept me frozen in place. Inside, I was breaking. An affair, hidden money, calling my career meaningless, reducing me to a decorative prop, and all of it said so casually, so confidently, in a language he assumed I could never understand. 12 years of marriage, and that was how he described me when he thought I couldn't understand. A prop. An accessory. A woman too simple to matter. Tanaka-san clearly sensed the shift. His posture tightened, his tone became more formal, polite but distant. He redirected the conversation toward safer business topics, but the discomfort lingered. When we said goodbye in the lobby, he bowed gently and said in slow, careful English, "It was a pleasure meeting you, Mrs. Sarah. I wish you well." There was something in his eyes, sympathy, maybe even worry, that made me wonder if he'd understood far more of that dinner than David assumed. The drive home was suffocatingly quiet. David was practically glowing, humming along to the radio. That went great, he said. I think we're going to land this deal. Tanaka was impressed. That's wonderful, I replied. My voice sounded like it was coming from someplace far away. When we got home, he kissed my cheek without looking at me and disappeared into his office. I climbed the stairs, shut the bedroom door, and let the silence settle around me like a heavy blanket. Then I picked up my phone and did something I never imagined I'd do. I called Emma. Emma had been my college roommate, my closest friend before time, distance, and David's subtle discouragement chipped away at that bond. She was a family law attorney now, divorced herself, sharp as a scalpel. We'd reconnected online recently, but I hadn't shared anything meaningful. She answered on the second ring. Sarah? She said, surprised. Everything okay? No, I whispered, and my voice broke. I need a lawyer. We talked for 2 hours. I told her everything, the dinner, the Japanese conversation, the offshore accounts, the affair, the years of being minimized. She listened quietly, letting me empty all the things I'd swallowed for so long. When I finally finished, she said gently, "First, breathe. Just breathe." I inhaled shakily. "Second," she continued, switching into her attorney voice, "if he's shifting marital money offshore without your knowledge, that's financial fraud. Illegal and absolutely usable in court." "I don't have proof," I said. Just what he said. Did you record the dinner? My stomach dropped. No. I was too stunned. That's fine. Here's what we're going to do. And Sarah, listen carefully, do not confront him. You need documentation. Tomorrow, start collecting everything you can find. Bank statements, tax returns, investment records. Photograph them, email them to yourself, whatever you need to do. If he's moving money, there's a trail. We'll find it. I exhaled a trembling breath. Emma? I'm scared. I know, she said softly. But you're also capable. You learned Japanese fluently without him noticing, that alone tells me you can handle this. And you don't have to do it alone anymore. After we hung up, I finally let myself feel what I had held in all night: rage, betrayal, dread, grief. But beneath all of that, something new was taking shape: determination. I was done being small. The next morning I called in sick. David barely reacted, just mumbled something as he walked out the door. The moment his car disappeared, I began searching. David kept everything meticulously organized in his home office. I found bank statements, tax returns, investment documents, all filed neatly. I photographed everything and uploaded it to a secure cloud folder Emma created, and there it was: 2 accounts I'd never heard of. Regular transfers totaling over $50,000 in the past 8 months. Money drained from our joint savings and funneled into a bank in the Cayman Islands. My stomach twisted. But I kept going. There were printed emails about investment properties I didn't know existed, all under his name only. And then the emails to Jennifer. He'd printed some for reference. Careless. Damning. Romantic. Explicit. Planning a future without me. One line burned itself into my memory: once I take care of the Sarah situation, we won't have to hide anymore. I had become a situation. For 6 weeks, I lived a double life, gathering evidence, documenting everything, pretending everything was normal. I cooked dinner, made small talk, kissed him goodnight while Emma built a case strong enough to tear down the facade of our marriage. We met twice a week in her office, reviewing documents and strategy. The plan: file for divorce and simultaneously report his financial misconduct to his company. The offshore accounts violated corporate policy. It could cost him his career. Are you sure you want to go this far? Emma asked one day. This is nuclear. He was already planning to leave me with nothing, I said calmly. I'm just getting there first. We agreed on a Friday. Emma filed the divorce papers Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, instead of going to work, I went to her office. At 9 a.m. David's HR department received the evidence packet. At 9:30 a.m. A process server handed him the divorce papers. I sat in Emma's conference room. Coffee cooling untouched, watching the clock. At 11 o'clock. Emma's assistant knocked. It's done. Papers served. His employer placed him on administrative leave pending investigation. Emma looked at me. How do you feel? Terrified, I admitted. But right. I stayed with her that night. She had a guest room waiting. We ordered takeout, drank wine, drafted my leave request for work. For the first time in years, my lungs felt like they could expand. David called 47 times that day. Left voicemails, angry, confused, pleading. I refused to listen. Emma documented everything. Saturday, with Emma and a police officer accompanying me, I returned home to collect my things. David was there. He looked awful, unshaven, disheveled, eyes sunken. Sarah, please, he said the moment he saw me. I held up a hand. Don't. Just let me explain. Explain what? I said. The affair? The money? Or how you told a business partner that I was too simple to understand your world? His face drained of color. You don't speak Japanese. I've been fluent for over a year, I said quietly. Funny how you never asked. He collapsed onto the couch. The company put me on leave. Sarah, I could lose my job. That's no longer my problem. I started up the stairs, and he rushed after me. We can fix this. He said desperately. Therapy. I'll end things with Jennifer. We can work through this. I turned. Looked at him, really looked. The man I loved, the man I believed in, the man who treated me like furniture. You're not trying to fix us, I said. You're trying to fix your consequences. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry you got caught. He had no response. I'm done being small for you, I said. Fight the divorce if you want. But you won't win. And you're not hiding anything anymore. I spent 2 hours packing. He never tried to stop me again. The divorce lasted 8 months. California's waiting period dragged on while we negotiated. His company's investigation confirmed the violations. They fired him. He found another job eventually, but at a lower level, lower salary. The offshore accounts were disclosed and split. The hidden properties became marital assets. In the end, I walked away with half of everything he tried to hide. plus spousal support for 3 years, but the most unexpected thing happened 2 months after filing. Tanaka-san reached out on LinkedIn. His message was brief, kind. He'd heard about my situation, and his company was launching a US branch. They needed someone fluent in American marketing and Japanese business culture. My experience, he wrote, made me uniquely valuable. I met with him and his team. This time, I spoke Japanese from the start. His expression shifted, respect, warmth, even a hint of amusement. At the restaurant, he said in Japanese at the end of the interview, I saw something in your eyes. I suspected you understood. I am glad you found your strength. They offered me the position. Senior Marketing Director. Triple my previous salary. I said yes. I'm 63 now. That night at Hashiri was over 20 years ago, but I still remember every detail. That dinner broke my world open, but it also saved me. I spent 15 years running that department before retiring. I traveled to Japan dozens of times, built friendships, created a life that belonged to me. I dated occasionally, had one long-term partner, but I never again shrank myself to fit someone else. David emailed me once, years later. He'd remarried. Apologized. Said he hoped I was doing well. I never replied. Some chapters don't deserve epilogues. I still study Japanese, read novels, watch films, tutor young professionals. The language that started as a quiet escape became the thing that rebuilt my life. That dinner, awful as it was the turning point. So if you're listening to this and living in a marriage where you feel invisible, dismissed, or made small, pay attention to that feeling, learn the language, gather the evidence, find your Emma, and when the moment comes, take your life back. It won't be easy. It will hurt. You'll doubt yourself, but on the other side of that pain is a life where you belong to yourself fully, where your voice counts, where you're not decorative but essential, and that life is worth fighting for.